So welcome back guys. Here in this particular session, I'm going to start with the yet another important new unit, that is the biostat. Okay, especially that is biostatistics, but in short we are calling that as biostat. So guys, this is a bigger chapter, but it's gonna be so interesting, right? In a way that we need to understand some of the mathematics over here. So those golden days, right, where we used to study about the mathematics, especially in the 9th or 10th class. Some of you might be having that in the +2 as well, 11 or 12. But here, not that hi-fi mathematics, but just a simple one. For an example, we'll be talking about the probability. We'll talk about the mean, median, mode in the upcoming chapters and all. It's gonna be the interesting journey, guys. So I want you to be with me. So first of all, let's talk about what is the biostatics. Right, what is the biostatistics in itself? So biostatistics is generally, in itself it is talking about, it is that science which is actually dealing with the development or the application of the most appropriate methods for what? For the collection of data, right? For the collection of data, for the presentation of that collected data, right? Then the analysis of that particular results from that particular data, right? Analysis, interpretation of the results, and then making decisions accordingly on the basis of analysis, right? So we are actually talking about the science which is talking about the development and the application of very important methods, and the important methods are the collection of the data, the analysis of the results from this particular data, the representation of the data, and what we can do about the analysis, right? So this is basically the biostat. And if we talk about this in this particular session, I am starting with the data in itself, right? So very basic term, that what is data. So this is just the foundation, guys, right? This is the foundation video as far as biostat is concerned. After this video, right, we'll be actually going on the upper side, right? So this is kind of a ladder, right? First of all, we should have a base, and then we'll be climbing up the ladder, right? Okay, guys. So data. What is data, first of all? Right. So in this section, we are gonna introduce with the as far as biostat is concerned, we're going to introduce with the data. So guys, if we talk about the data, we are having two kinds of data. Either we might be having the qualitative data, either we might be having the quantitative data, right? So two datas we might be having, one could be the quantitative. Listen to me very carefully, guys. Quantitative, okay, and another one could be the qualitative data. Qualitative data, right? So what would be the difference between the two? Qualitative data is there and quantitative data is there. If you talk about, they are saying that quantitative data is the continuous data, right? And comparatively, qualitative data is the discrete data, right? They are just the vague terms which is given by them. Then if we talk about the quantitative data, here we shall measure the quantity, basically, right? We shall measure the quantity, right? If we talk about the qualitative data, here we shall not measure that, we shall rather count that. These are the countable, right? For an example, how many persons are sitting in the room? We can count them. We can't measure them. We shall count them. So this is an example of qualitative data, right? What is your body weight? That is the quantitative data. What is your height? That is the quantitative data. What are the levels of cholesterol in your blood, for an example? Quantitative data. What is your hemoglobin levels? Quantitative data. What are your LFT levels? KFT levels, right? What is your blood group, for an example, right? That either could be the A, B, C, A, B, A, B or O, right? So that would be the qualitative data. So we are actually trying to figure out that either first job in the biostat is that analyze the data. Either it could be the quantitative data, either it could be the qualitative data, right? So there are n number of examples in the quantitative data, n number of examples in the qualitative data, right? You just need to look at your MCQ, and first of all, your first job should be to figure out that whether they are talking about the quantitative data or whether they are talking about the qualitative data. And believe me, guys, half of the job will be done, right? Because questions are actually related to this particular thing, that whether you are able to figure out that is it quantitative data or is it the qualitative data, right? So till now, very simple, guys, we have just talked about the data. We have just talked about what is the biostat in itself. And we are talking about the data. Two types are there: quantitative, qualitative. Quantitative, here it is a measurable data. Qualitative, it is the countable data, right? Then in the quantitative data, guys, we are talking about the mean. We can calculate the mean of the data. right? Very important point I'm mentioning over here, that it can calculate the mean of the data. It can calculate the mean of the data, right? I'm writing the mean under quotations over here, so that you don't forget that it is very important, guys. The mean is actually coming in which category? Quantitative data category. Okay, so please remember that. We'll talk about the mean, median, mode in the next chapter. Don't worry about that, right? And if we talk about the qualitative one, what could be the example we shall think of? Very easy, where we can count. For an example, how many persons are sitting over there, right? And let's talk about the gender, religion. These could be some of the examples which we shall talk about in the qualitative data, right? We're having n number of lists. Look at the list particularly over here, right? What we shall see over here, qualitative data is also called as a categorical data. Quantitative data is also called as a numerical data. In the quantitative data, we are talking about the mean. We shall calculate the mean over here. Quantitative data is the measurable data we have already talked about. Qualitative data is the countable data, right? So these are some salient features of the quantitative and qualitative data. Let's talk about some of the examples. If I'm saying quantitative data can be measured, right? Quantitative data can be measured over there. So what could be the example? There could be the age, right? There could be the height of the person, weight of the person, income of the person, right? The size of some kind of institution, right? The group size, university size, right? There are n number of examples over there which we shall figure out in the quantitative data. In the qualitative, what are the examples which they are mentioning in the MCQs that I'm highlighting over here with this one? They will be mentioning about the height, weight, they might be mentioning about the group size, right? These are some of the things which you need to remember over here in the quantitative one. In the qualitative, you shall be remembering about the gender, religion, right? About the marital status. So these are the examples which are coming under the category of qualitative data, right? Here we are counting the things which we shall count over here, that will be coming in the qualitative data. The things which are not able, which we not be able to count, the things which we will be measuring actually, right? For example, what is the weight of the sugar, weight of the salt, right? That is the thing over here. You are comparing the data of hemoglobin for some people. You are comparing the BP of the patient. All of these things, BP, pulse rate, okay, all of these things are coming in the quantitative data only, right? So some of the example I am writing over here: BP, pulse rate, heart rate. Okay, these are all your quantitative data, right? You are comparing the weight. Okay, I wrote it over here in the qualitative one actually, right? Rather, I should be writing them in the quantitative data. I wrote it in the qualitative one. Okay, so I should be writing it over here, right? Okay guys, right, so once we are clear with the quantitative versus the qualitative data, now we shall move on to the scales of data, right? So what is the data, guys? Over here, data is some information. It could be the quantitative, it could be the qualitative. Quantitative could be the measurable one, qualitative could be the countable one. Quantitative could be the continuous, qualitative could be the discrete data. In the quantitative, we shall be talking about the examples such as the blood pressure of the patient, heart rate of the patient you are comparing, right? Weight of the patient, height of the patient, all of these things are coming in the quantitative data. Qualitative, we shall count the number of people sitting in a room, the number of students studying in a medical college, right? Or in any kind of university, or in the college or institution, right? So these are all your examples of religion, gender. These are all your example of qualitative data. Okay, so quantitative and qualitative, once it is clear, now we shall move on to the scaling of the data, scales of the data. And in the scales of the data, we shall be talking about the 4 types, 4 scales of the data we are having. What are the 4 scales? Let's talk about them. So the very first one which we shall be talking about, that is the nominal data, right? What are the types over here? One could be the nominal data, right? First could be the nominal data. Then we shall be having the ordinal data. Then we shall be having the interval and then ratio, right? 4 things you need to remember about the data scaling of the data, right? Scales of the data. Now here what we shall see, what is the nominal data? Nominal data means, guys, here we are talking about the data which is consisting of names or the categories. Data which are consisting of the names and the categories over here. Okay, mind you, I am talking about only the categories, right? Now these categories might be present in front of you in a very haphazard manner, in unordered manner, right? So there is no order, there is just category present over there. For example, this is the gender, this is the religion, right, or this is something else. Just categories present over there, nothing else. There is no ordering in that data. Just categories present over there. There is no ordering in the data. That is called as your nominal data, right? So over here we shall be talking about the example as well. For example, they are saying number assigned to a runner in a race. Just random number they gave it to the runner. Okay, for example, 3251. Okay, that is printed over the t-shirt over there. They just put the sticker. Any kind of security lock or something like that. It can be the example of nominal data. Okay, and it is coming under the category of discrete data, right? It is coming under the category of discrete data, right? Then we are having a ordinal data. Here we are talking about the category. Yes, there is a category. Category we will be talking about each and every data scaling, right? Now we will be increasing the qualities over here. We will be increasing the terms over here, which we shall be using for the terms. For example, nominal, we are talking about the categories only. Now we are talking about the ordinal. In the ordinal, we will be talking about the categories. With that, we shall be talking about the ordering also. There would be a pattern, right? For example, staging of the disease, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, grading of some disease, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4, right? So there is some ordering present over there. There is some pattern present over there, right? There was a race going on, okay, and these are the results, right? You gave the exam, these are the ranks, rank 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So you can see the roll number will be actually present in a very haphazard manner. Any roll number can be present over there anywhere in any point of time. But if you talk about the ranks are present in the ordering manner, right? So those ranks can be the example of which data? Can be the example of ordinal data, right? And the roll numbers only, they could be the example of nominal data, isn't it? So very easy for understanding that any exam roll numbers can be the data, that is the nominal data, and the ranks, if you are talking about, then it will be the ordered manner, right? Category is there, but order is also there, then it will be called as the ordinal. Order is present, so ordinal, right? So data is arranged in some order, but differences between values cannot be determined. That is okay, but order is present over there. So category is also there, order is also there, right? This is also the discrete data. Third one is the interval data. Interval data, we are saying data is arranged, so category is also there, order is also there, right? Now we are talking about what? So look over here, nominal one, there is category. In the nominal there is category, but order is not there, equal interval is not there, true zero is not there. In the ordinal we saw that there was category and there was order also. We talked about the nominal example. For example, there could be the marital status, right? Sex, gender, ethnicity, these could be the example. Just category are present over there, ordering is not there, right? That is the nominal data. In the ordinal one, we talked about category and we are having the order also. So category and order. For example, student letter grade, ranks over there, right? So these could be the example. Team rankings and all, there could be the example. So I told you roll number can be the example which shall be remembered for the nominal data, and ranks shall be the example which shall be remembered by you for the ordinal data. Now we are coming to the next one, that is the interval data, right? Interval, and then we will talk about the ratio. In the interval, we are talking that category is there, yes, order is also there, then with that equal intervals are also present. For example, temperature, and absolute zero is not here. What is the term of absolute zero? For example, we are talking about the pulse rate, we are talking about the saturation rate. Pulse rate, it can be between 0 to 100 on 0 to like more than 100 also, but below the 0 you can't see, right? Below the 0 we are not talking about -5 heart rate, right? -6 pulse rate, or we are talking about saturation of the patient. We are not saying it is -5% or it is -10% or it is -98%, -95%. We are saying 95 means plus only. So 0 to 100, if you talk about saturation, it can't exceed above 100 and it can't be coming down below 0, obviously. So over here we are having a 0. So the data will be respecting the value of 0, respecting the value of true 0. But here if you talk about interval, it will not be respecting. For example, temperature, it could be -5 degrees Celsius in some places, it could be +5 degrees Celsius in some places, it could be -20 degrees Celsius, it could be +20 degrees Celsius also. So temperature can go in the minus side also and in the plus side also. So it could go either way. So there is no 0. So if this is the 0 and this is the plus side and here it is the minus side, so temperature might be recorded as +15 degrees Celsius in some places, and right, and it might be recorded -15 degrees Celsius in some colder place, right? Isn't it? So that is the thing. It means that true zero is not respected in the interval kind of data. So interval example would be the temperature for an example. So the classical example you can remember over here, temperature of the patient, right? I mean temperature of anything. Okay, so that is the thing over here. Along with that, year can be there, set scores can be there, that is the thing. Now ratio, if you talk about, in the ratio the category is there, order is also there, equal intervals are also present. Along with that, there could be the ratio as well. In the ratio there could be the true zero as well. For an example, heart rate, pulse rate, saturation, right? Heart rate, pulse rate, SpO2 of the patient in the percentages obviously, then age, height, weight, all of these are examples of ratio, right? So over here we shall write that in the intervals what we have talked about, data are arranged in the order, there is a category, there is an order, and there are the intervals also. There is no inherent starting point and the ratios are meaningless over here, right? I mean in the ratio there is a true zero is also there, but here true zero is not present. Temperature is the classical example. For example, they are saying that temperature of 3 metal parts were 200, 300, 600. 200 is triple of 600 if you are saying mathematically, 200 is triple of 600, but in actual reality if you talk about the temperature, right, that might not be the case. So that is the thing over here. So temperature is an example of this one and it is a type of continuous data. Ratio is also a type of continuous data. Here they are saying that they are also respecting the zero over here. So true 0 point is present. They are talking about true 0 point is also present over here. Okay, true 0 point. So extension of the interval level that includes an inherent zero starting point. Okay, so both the differences and ratios are meaningful over here, right? In the interval differences are there, but ratios were not meaningful, they were meaningless. So in the interval, right, you shall be talking about the addition, subtraction, right? In the ratio we shall be talking about the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and all of these things are over there. So in a nutshell guys, what we shall talk about about the scaling of the data. First of all, in this particular session what we have talked about, the data. Very first topic in the biostat, we are starting with the data. Data might be having two types, quantitative data, qualitative data. Quantitative data can be measurable, qualitative data can be countable. We have talked about some examples as far as quantitative and qualitative are concerned, right? For example, quantitative data, we shall be talking about weight of the person, height of the person, age of the person, right? Some blood parameters of the person, right? They are actually mentioning about the quantitative. In the qualitative, we might be talking about the religion of the person, gender of the person, or all of these things might be accepted in the case of qualitative data examples, right? Then we came to the scaling of the data, the scales of data, right? Then we talked about the 4 scales of the data, right? For very first one, nominal, then the ordinal, then the interval, and then the ratio. In the nominal, we have talked about there is a category but no order. For example, roll number, application number of some kind of exam, right? That would be the example of nominal data. Then the ordinal data, there the order is also present. Category is there, order is also there, right? For an example, roll number, they are arranged in a way, right, according to the merit list, right? So that is called as the example of ordinal data. There the category is there but order is also there, right? Staging of the diseases, grading of the diseases, these are all your examples of your ordinal data, right? Now then we came to about the interval data. Temperature is the classical example of that because it is not following the 0 point. And what do I mean by that? I mean it was following the category is there, ordering is also there, now interval is also there, interval is present over there, but here true 0 is not followed, right? True 0 is not followed. In the interval one, true 0 is not followed, isn't it? So that's what I'm talking about over here. Then after that we came to know about the ratio. In the ratio we are talking about categories also there. After that in the ratio we are talking about the order is also there. After that there could be the zero, there could be the intervals, and the true 0 point is also there. So all of the 4 features might be present as far as the ratio is there. And what was the example of ratio? Ratio example, it could be age of the person, heart rate, pulse rate, all of these things. So 0 point they are following basically, right? So that was a discussion about the data and its scaling. Thank you.